Hi, I am Lori Edwards, Ashley Nix's mother-in-law, mother-in-love, because that's my daughter-in-love. And I guess I pray that I give somebody some encouragement, um, that I can help somebody, that the words or my experiences will be a blessing to somebody else. I've had my share of miscarriages, of stillbirths, of labor pains and heartache. I cried out to God and asked Him, why me? Why them? Why us? But I didn't get any answers. I was broken. I was hurt because the only thing I wanted was to have a family, to have 2 sons and a husband. So today or tonight, I'm just going to tell you about wanting to have 2 sons. I had several miscarriages, like I said, and stillbirths, and I had labor, but to no avail, no children. And I was very angry at God. I felt like He turned His back on me. I felt like He didn't hear my prayers, but He heard everybody else's prayers. I didn't realize that for every tear that I cried, He was collecting them in a bottle. He collected them in a bottle and recorded them, each one in His book. So I'm going to tell you about my last pregnancy. Right before my last pregnancy, my cousins, Michael and Ryan, came to live with me and my husband. I couldn't have any kids, and they had lost their mother, and it was just a good match. They needed me, and I needed them. Our life began together. Took us a minute to get into routine, but we got in a routine. The heartache and the pain that I felt wasn't so bad anymore because I had a void to fill it. I still went to church on occasion, and did what I was supposed to do for the most part, but it was just because I was expected to go to church, not because I wanted to be there. I was just expected to go. So I went to appease everybody, but I wasn't necessarily feeling God. A few months, probably maybe about 6 months into having Michael and Ryan, I discovered that I was pregnant again. And I never had a problem getting pregnant. It was just always carrying the baby to term. So when I found out that I was pregnant, me and my husband did everything that we could do to try to ensure having a healthy baby. I had a cerclage put in to help keep my cervix closed. I slept inverted with my feet in the air and my body down, so that way to try to help keep the pressure off my cervix, so that way I could, try to carry the baby to term. It was a rough journey, only to go to the doctor about 3 months before Christmas of that year to discover that the baby had no heartbeat, that the baby was dead inside of me. They ran tests, but everything that they ran basically said that the baby didn't have any heartbeat. So that was like on a Wednesday, maybe a Tuesday, and I had to go home with the dead baby, my dead baby, in my womb, and wait for 3 days to go ahead and have a procedure to remove the baby. I held it together during that time, but it wasn't until after the procedure that it seemed like everything started to hit home. I decided at that point I wanted to die, I wanted to kill myself, that there was basically no reason to live because I couldn't do what every other woman could do. And I was hurt and empty and just very angry at God. I asked him why so many times. But at the time it was to no avail. Nothing happened. My parents were there with me. My husband, he sort of stood back because he was hurt. He was suffering himself. And he let my parents mostly try to comfort me. I was basically setting up a plan to go home and take myself out. And then my mother said, if you do that, what about Michael and Ryan? Who's going to take care of them? And I thought about it. Who indeed was going to take care of the babies that was at my house? So I started getting myself together. Because I hadn't thought about it. I was just thinking about me and how I was feeling. I didn't think about them. Went home, tried to act like things were normal. And for the most part, after a while, things sort of start to be normal. I started going back into my same routine, going to church, making sure that the kids get back and forth to school, doing all the things that, any mother would do. And then after a while, it became a routine and things were they were good between me and the kids. Well, things didn't work out between me and my husband, and me and the boys moved here to Indianapolis. And I did what I normally do. Went to church, even though I wasn't necessarily feeling God, but I went to church. And then this one Sunday, I remember the pastor of the church, he preached this sermon. It was something like, be careful what you pray for, because you might already have it. And he started talking about how God has probably already given you things and you don't even realize it because it didn't come the way you thought it did. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And I discovered that I had what I asked for. Now, I didn't have a husband, but I did have the 2 boys, and that's what I wanted. They were healthy. They were good boys. And we had already sort of become like the 3 musketeers anyway. And it was just like, Lord, I've been angry at you all of this time. I wasted all of this time, and you still kept your hand on me. And in spite of how I was feeling, You still bless me. I didn't have to change no dirty diapers. I didn't have to go through labor pains for them. I didn't have to have no 3 a.m. feedings, but I got to enjoy taking them to school, the first day of school, Mother's Day cards, seeing their faces at Christmas time, looking in their faces and knowing how much they love me and care for me. I had what I wanted, and God had blessed me, and I didn't even acknowledge it for years because it didn't come the way that I thought it should come. So we should never underestimate God, and we should always know, if we're believers, that God has a plan, that there is purpose in the pain. So remember, when you're going through, God is with you. He loves you. His hand is on you. And that there is probably a reason for you to go through. I take comfort in knowing that every one of my babies is with Jesus, someplace I'm trying to go. So when you hurting, remember Psalms 34:18, that God is close to the brokenhearted, and He saves those who have a crushed spirit. And then remember Jeremiah 29:11, that God has a plan for you, a plan for good and not evil. And always remember my favorite verse, 1 Peter 5:10. After you have suffered for a while, the God of all grace will establish you, will perfect you. That's my favorite. Just because it doesn't come the way that you want it to come, doesn't mean that it's not for you, doesn't mean that it's not from God, and it doesn't mean that it's not what you want. God bless.